All right, welcome to the Real Estate Blog Podcast, where we ask our guests the hard questions by taking a deep dive into their teams, marketing strategies, systems, and processes on how they built a machine that spits out consistent deals month after month. The value given during the show will help you find and create consistent real estate deal flow. Today, I have my buddy Stinson. What's up, my man?
What's up, Aaron? Thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you so much for hopping on here. Like I said before we hopped on, this is just us going to catch up. I know we met in a mastermind, Don Collins' mastermind. And again, we could talk about that. But I mean, you guys were super hospitable. You guys were incredibly nice to me. And matter of fact, I would like to talk to you more about that probably after this. But go right into it. You guys are crushing it when a lot of people are running away from real estate. So let me ask you this. Stinson, why did you get into real estate, and how did you get your first deal? And I mean, because you said it's been an up and down roller coaster.
Yeah.
So give me a little backstory, and why are we still in real estate?
Quick backstory is everybody, well, not everybody, but the crash of '08. Basically, I went from having a very high paying business. I was doing marketing for small cap companies, which online marketing back in 2006, 2005, 2007. Online marketing wasn't as easy as it is today, where you just kind of anybody can do it. I actually had to read books and learn how to do it. And so I was making really, really good money working for publicly traded companies, helping them find accredited investors. When when the crash happened in '08, my income evaporated, and I was much younger. I was in my late 20s, so I was dumb. I was leasing a penthouse, I was leasing a Porsche, I was leasing a Mercedes, and I wasn't paying my taxes. It's embarrassing now, but it's just I didn't go to college. I moved out at 15. I didn't have any kind of role model to teach me these things. And the taxes, it's a real thing, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
Lehman Brothers filed bankruptcy. I can remember I was leasing a second apartment. It was my office with my best friend. I can remember crying when Lehman Brothers filed bankruptcy because I knew I was skunked. You know what I mean? It was over. I had about $250,000 of tax debt and about 100 grand of cash and about $12,000 a month in bills of nothing I owned. Like literally, it was all borrowed, right?
Yep.
Panicked, started looking around. I understood the theory of buy low, sell high. The real estate market was crashing, and I was like, buy low, sell high. Real estate market's crashing. I can make this work. I'm good at sales and marketing. This is what I'm going to do. And so I started. A lot of guys in the space, a lot of people in the space have heard about Home Investors. They're based out of Dallas, Texas. Franchise model. We were one of the first franchises that came in with what was called an affiliate franchise. It was a way to get in the door cheap. So we bought a franchise, got a really good, amazing mentor at the time, Mike Cambright. He basically taught me the ropes. Took me about 4 months to get my first deal. And then I just started wholesaling to Mike over and over and over.
Oh, wow.
So eventually, 2010 was my first deal, and then my first flip was 2012. And that, you've probably seen this, Aaron. I mean, you're wholesaling. I'm like, damn, Mike's getting rich over here, and I'm like digging out of a hole. So I wanted to graduate to flipping, right? So it's 2012.
Okay.
That finally was flipping.
Yeah. So I mean, you're in Waco, Texas. You are dominating the market there. Like I said, you were doing wholesaling. Well, let's back it up here. How did you learn about the concept of wholesaling real estate to kind of start getting you out of that debt?
Man, what was crazy is it was actually a good friend of mine, Ben Lamb. Ben had wanted to flip some houses, and he had started doing a lot of research. He was on Bigger Pockets. If you think back then, it's before podcast and the social media wasn't what it is today. Like Bigger Pockets was the one-stop shop.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And he started like sending me posts and threads. It's like, hey, this seems like a viable way for me to just use my skill set, which was sales and marketing, and go out there and start digging out of this hole. And to this day, I still tell people all the time, like, I'm in real estate, but the houses are just the widget. You know what I mean? The business I'm in is sales and marketing. Marketing first, sales second. And the houses are just the thing it's just the commodity that we're trading. So I basically took a trader's mindset and said, hey, this is what I want to do. I can buy up low and sell high, and use the skills I actually have and confident in, and apply them. And home investors was a way that I could buy in. I could pay to get in the club, get training, and more importantly at the time, what they were offering was capital, right? And that's what one thing I had, like I had very, very little. So I needed capital. And I was like, hey, if I pay these guys, I'll get a coach, I'll get a mentor, I'll get a brand, and I'll get financial backing. And those were all the holes I had. So that was a way for me to get into business easily.
Are they still around?
Yeah, I mean, sorry to respond like that, but yeah, they're well past 1,000 franchises now.
Because I don't see them much in California anymore.
Well, California is a tough market, right?
Yeah, for sure. Chase them out of here.
So what's great? Absolutely, and I'm not anti-home investors, but I'm anti-franchise, right? Like I don't.
Okay.
If you hear a little bit about my background, like I moved out when I was 15. I don't deal with being in a box very well, and a franchise is very much a box. Like you can't.
Is it?
Well, like I'm a marketing and sales guy, and you can't do your own marketing.
Right.
You just pay in, and they do it, whether you agree with it or not. And we didn't leave on good terms because of that.
Really? Okay.
Pretty significant ad spender, and again was young and egotistical, and I didn't deal with that kind of being stuck in the system very well. So I took off from there. We left in 2013 from the franchise model.
Well, I want to ask you some of the hard questions there. I mean, what did your team look like then? What was your ad spend? What kind of marketing were you doing with them? And I mean, were you making any good returns with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So my team was very easy. It was me and my best friend.
There you go.
So what's crazy is I convinced my best friend to quit his 6-figure call center management job to come work for me on this ad side. And 2 months later, Lehman Brothers filed bankruptcy. So I had to bring Steven with me. And it's worked out great. He's still in Dallas, has a bunch of rental properties.
Oh, wow.
It's worked out really great. But that was the team. And the truth is, if I hadn't just recruited Steven, it would have just been me. When we started, we were spending $1,000 a month. It wasn't working at all. We were paying about $100 a lead. Their primary advertising back then was, funny enough, newspapers.
Oh, wow.
And billboards, right? And mail. Newspapers, billboards, and mail. Mail being primary, but billboards were eating up like a third of our budget. Dallas was a big market. There was like 30 franchises. With my experiences in marketing, I became part of the ad council advisor board. It was trying to help allocate the funds. So we were spending about $200,000 a month in advertising. And I can't remember the exact numbers, so I don't want to lie on record.
Yeah.
A big portion was going to billboards, and we could track it, and we knew billboards weren't buying us houses, but they were selling franchises. And every time a new franchise came in, we were competing with our checkbook. So our ad cost was shooting up, our cost per lead, right? Not even so essentially we got into this really dumb competition. It was me, Mike Cambright, and a couple other big franchises, Chaz being one. And we were just competing to see who could get the biggest piece of the pie. Because that's the way the franchise worked. Everybody put in money, and you share the leads based on how much you put in. So this became this big, like we were all chasing the same leads. And I ended up leaving for that. And a lot of franchises leave because of that reason, to be honest.
For sure.
When we left, we were spending about 16 a month.
Like, is that and like direct mail and newspapers?
Yeah, billboard, direct mail, mostly some TV.
Okay.
But you don't get the issue with the franchise, Aaron, is like you write the check and they go out there and do what they want with it. You know, so that's where the problem was. I was like, hey, I was very into the internet back then, and they were not on board with the internet at all at the time.
Gotcha.
Huge conflict there. Especially when we came in, our ad cost or our lead cost was around 50, and when I left, we were paying like 600 every time the phone rang. And if you think about billboards, what billboards were driving, maid services would call us, contractors would call us, and it's going through an automated system. So, you know, it's on a rotation, and if the maid called you and it costs $600, then you're just waiting for it to go back around to circle back to your turn. It was very, very frustrating. We went 3 months and 16 grand, didn't buy a house. I was like, this is it, I'm out of here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we actually had to pay to get out too. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously, so we go through a dry spell with the ventures. you decide to buy out, you go and now you want to start flipping. I mean, that is a huge step, right? A lot of people, like for example, me and my business, we're strictly wholesale. We made it into a complete business. Some people you think of it as, the ABCs of real estate investing. So you decided to graduate up in to junior in high school, right? Flipping. I mean, why the heck did you decide to get into the physical world? And did you start in Waco?
No, no, I've only been in Waco for 3 years. I moved here during COVID. And
Oh
I did
wow.
that. Yeah, I did that for a better quality of life, one, but that wasn't the primary driver. That was a side benefit that we didn't expect. We expected the opposite, to be honest. But
Mm.
to pursue rentals and owner financing in Dallas, it's hard to cash flow on rentals. It's very competitive in Dallas. Um, I was a tiny minnow in an ocean of whales, right? No
So you were
matter
in Dallas.
in Dallas, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Uh, you know, at that time, there's 7.5 million people up there, and down here, there's 125,000 people.
Mm.
Um, Down here, like the mayor office is in my building. You know what I mean? So it's like it's whole not the building I own, but the office I'm in. Um, it's a totally different world of going from just a little minnow in a sea of whales to hey, now you're rubbing elbows with the biggest movers and shakers, and you can actually make an impact in the market. So that's why we moved here. Why did I
Yeah.
graduate to flipping? Because I was assigning properties to Mike, my good buddy at the time, for like 10 and 12 grand. He was my mentor. We were friends. We were doing some other projects on the side in the internet space. And I was seeing the HUDs come through at like 40, 35, 50. I'm like, well, shit, pardon my language.
You're
His
good.
30, his 35 plus my 12, like I could have made 47. So, it's just simple greed and I
For
guess
sure.
intelligence to say, hey, let's cut the middleman out and become the end buyer. And by that time, I had dug out of that hole and I was comfortable taking more financial risk. And I was trying to build back to where I was, right? Like it was very ego driven, but I needed to get back to where I was. It was a big punch in the face to go from being in your 20s and being able to afford anything to being pretty much dead broke,
For
So I
sure.
was trying to get out of that. And flipping, I felt like was a quick way to get out of it, and it was.
Tell me that mindset. What kind of mindset did you have to get into to be at that very bottom, scared to death? I mean, did you have a family at that time?
I did. I had a serious girlfriend. I've I've been pretty separated from my family for a young age. So I had a serious girlfriend. She left. Uh, uh, it's a huge transition too. Like we started dating when she was just still in college, and she went from
Mm-hmm.
living a high flying lifestyle to hey, I'm broke. Like I don't know how we're gonna eat.
So she didn't stick around, huh?
Yeah, 8 years, and that was it.
Oh
Uh,
man.
it is what it is. It's been an amazing blessing. Um,
Well, I'm sure you use that as fuel.
exactly. It really was a lot of ego back then, like driving me, like I got to be this person. I got to prove these people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I got to prove my family wrong. Like there's a lot of ego driven. But what really changed, the biggest change I ever had was kind of reading Think and Grow Rich, and then I went to psycho cybernetics and really got deep into NLP in mindset, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and to this day, I still journal every day and write these affirmations. My fiance thinks I'm a crazy person. I talk to myself in the mirror. You know what I
There you
mean? Like
go.
it was the mindset of just kind of controlling your own destiny and focusing on the controllables and truly just working hard. I think that's in the internet space now, Aaron. I feel like a lot of people um, glorify what we do and they
Mm.
under they don't project how much work and how hard it actually is.
Yep.
Uh, it's the truth, right? Like what we do is hard. It's complicated, especially on the wholesale side. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. A lot
Oh
of things
yeah.
that go wrong. So,
I say that all the time. Sometimes we sit in these positions as the head person or starting your own business, and you look out and you're like, man, why doesn't anybody else do this? Because there's so many people, and you're a leader in one of the masterminds, and you probably get this all the time where people are afraid to hire people because they think they're going to go replicate what they do, and they don't understand that they're even in my wholesaling space, right, where we run a business where I gotta figure out a sales process. I gotta talk about marketing. I gotta figure out leadership. I gotta talk about processes. I got to develop relationships with vendors. I got to figure out where to market to. You got all the numbers that you're watching, and I could go even deeper into that. But and yes, and then there's those ups, there's the downs, there's the risk, and it's going to be you got to be a little bit crazy. And what I mean by crazy, I mean crazy obsessed.
Crazy
You got to be
obsessed.
because when you're down, when you have that bad month, that negative month, which we all have them, you got to just balls to the wall, figure it out, and be obsessed with it, and also have fun with it. Even when you're down, you got to be that person to say, hey, we got it right there. Have been times in my business, and actually I heard somebody else say this who was doing 20 million. It's not even real estate, it's just a business. He was doing 20 million. He was looking at his bank account, and sometimes the people on your team, and we're talking about cash conversion cycles, where people think on your team that you have all this money sitting aside and everybody's trusting in you, and then you're looking at your bank account and you almost little to none, but knowing that there's still money coming in, right? You got this whole cash conversion cycle, and you're strategically figuring out, okay, where can I budget, right? Where can I cut costs? You know what I mean? So, me on my soapbox here for a second, and a lot of people talk about, don't look at your gross. It's all about your profit, and I completely agree. But the funny thing is, the kind of person that you have to be to make millions of dollars, right? And look at the gross. Like I'm all about. I think if you do make a crap ton of gross, but make a little bit of profit, but you're still young in the business, that's pretty cool that you were able to get to that. Then you work your way backwards. Okay, where can we cut, right? Where can we cut costs? Now we know how to get here. Now let's work our way back and cut all the costs. Now that's just me speaking out loud, because I feel like the people that preach, gross isn't all, it's all about profit, are the guys that have like crazy amounts of gross, high gross. Like, shut up. All you care about is gross as well. Anyways, Stinson, sorry, I'm real on here.
No, I love it. Well, the truth is that, what you're saying resonates a lot with me. September was a rough month. I have about 40 grand a month in overhead. In September, we didn't buy a single house. We don't wholesale. So when I make offers, they're solid offers. There's 5 grand in earnest money. There's no back out for me. The contracts are ironclad. If I make an offer, I'm stuck. So in September, we didn't buy a single house. I have an office. I have employees. I got all this overhead. And every day I had to tell myself, hey, you got to go in there and be a leader and exude confidence in the team. But the truth is what happened is that houses that I'd contracted in Q1 and Q2 that took a while to convert and get flipped, they're sitting on the market for a long time. So my lines of credit, I operate from lines of credit. My lines of credit were getting very exhausted, and I had houses that are just sitting on the market. I got greedy because the market was so easy. I got greedy and I quit borrowing rehab cash. So all these flips that were sitting, I had all my cash in the rehab. And I'm talking, the one that I closed on Friday, it's got $82,000 of my cash, right? Like that's a lot of operating capital.
That's a lot, right?
And Aaron, I went through exactly what you went through. I was watching my account just go down and down and down. I'm like, all right, how many months survival do I have if nothing happens? And how do I make sure that the team knows that they're secure so they don't go out looking for another job? Like if they sense any weakness in me, that's going to go through the sellers are going to hear it. They're going to start looking for jobs. Like the last thing I want to do is hire another lead manager. I have an amazing lead manager. I can't lose her.
Yeah, right.
So that resonates so much because September was a tough month for me. And as you know, we fought through it. And this month, it's going to be crazy. We're closing like 21 houses this month, and most of those are on the sales side, recouping all our cash. Right? I told Daniela, who's my fiance and agent, I said my goal was to go into the holidays cash heavy and confident with all of our inventory, and everything except for one house is either gone or going to be gone here in 2 days. And all the houses that I own right now are like home runs. So you mentioned it. Mindset, I feel like, is everything in business, right?
Right, and we learn those things, right? When we have that scary month, right? We learn that okay, I'll never have this happen again. I'm going to make sure I stack away in my war chest as much as I can, so my family doesn't get scared. Because I'll be honest, like it's scary for us men, but it's the family that you don't want. So I'm partners with my wife, and it sounds like you're partners as well. And you guys are both looking at the bank account, and it's like. I'm a visionary where I'm just like balls to the wall. Who cares? Like we're way far ahead. If I always said, if we lost everything tomorrow, which could totally happen, we'll just do it again. You know what I mean? And so obviously, but you want to always be strong for your family and your team. I want to dial back again. You said that you're not a wholesaler, right? And it was, I love what you said at the mastermind, as you scorch the earth with your sellers. So if I come in and I put my little $100 earnest money down, and you come in and you say, hey, I'm ready to go. Tell us how you scorch the earth, so that you could obviously make sure you secure that house that you buy.
There's a lot of ways that I do it. Well, one of the main things, and I have no full disclaimer, I have no problem with wholesalers, right?
No. It's some great. It's a great tactic.
Yeah, so I don't wholesale, and that's how I separate myself. Most people in my market that are direct to seller. Now, there's plenty of bigger fish in my sea out here that are buying houses for cash, but most people in my market that are direct to sellers are wholesalers. When I say most, I mean like 95%.
Right.
So my whole sales process, and I'm the acquisition agent. I don't have ambitions of having a giant team or anything like that. If I can buy 5 to 8 houses a month and keep my team small, I'm totally
absolutely.
You know this. I mean, you have a big team and a big operation. There's a lot of stress and I don't know, drama, right? Like personal drama.
We can talk about that one later.
Yeah, there's just a lot of personal drama that I don't have those ambitions. But my whole sales process is about us being a true cash buyer, about educating the seller on what a cash buyer is, what to look out for. I teach them how to catch the wholesalers in lies, because not all wholesalers are this way, but a lot of people in my market are very misleading.
They are.
They'll lock it up. They'll get to the week of closing and start negotiating down, which is, to me, super shady. And then you were there. I pull out a checkbook and I write a $5,000 earnest money check and explain to them that that's their money if I don't perform, and show them in the contract that that's $5,000 is theirs. Like, they're getting $5,000 a day that's theirs guaranteed, or they sell the house for the price we agree upon. So that's my whole thing is I sell certainty. So I tell people all the time, I hate this because all of my contractors say it. I'm not going to be the lowest. I'm not going to be the highest. My contractors say I'm not going to be the lowest, right? I'm not going to be your highest offer, but I'm a guaranteed offer. If you want certainty, that's what I'm here to provide. Now you go mess around with these guys, and if it doesn't work out, you can come back to me, but you're just going to stress yourself out and waste a lot of time.
Yep.
So that's kind of what it is.
I like that you said that. You're right. A lot of wholesalers, because obviously we're talking about an old age of way to do deals, and that is obviously lying to your sellers. As a nationwide wholesaler, we don't promise that. What we do is we actually tell them we're wholesaling this property, and in a way we don't say that to confuse them. We call it a concierge service. So we do say we are going to market, we are going to bring a third party buyer to the table. So we are very upfront when it comes to that. And obviously, if you want to learn more about that, listen to my podcast and reach out to me if you want to know, if you want our script. But we're very upfront now. We learned how to dial that in, because on the back end, on the transaction side, it makes transactions so much easier. They know we're bringing buyers side, and also we do novations, right? So novations makes it even easier.
I literally was about to ask you, are you guys doing novations?
Yeah, we do a lot of novations. We probably have like 20 houses on the market right now with 20 different agents. My dispo team, they find different agents and they put them on the market. Can't do nationwide without putting them on the MLS. But I mean, so we're in Waco. We're crushing it, and we decided to go deeper into, and I'm still on the fence about because I'm nationwide, but we're still marketing Southern California, and I'm always torn about going deeper, wider, and so I'm still figuring things out as well. But I mean, we're still good. We're still positive in our profits. But let me ask you this: if you had somebody, and I know a lot of people reach out to you, but what advice would you give somebody to have consistent deal flow?
Figure out your marketing budget, stick to it, and don't stop. Like Aaron, in September, with my burn rate's about 40 a month. 28 of that's advertising, right? Like my overhead is really small. There's some systems and a small staff. It's all advertising. In September, when I started projecting Q4, like what happens if October I don't buy anything, and I could doomsday myself to death. And the easiest thing to cut would be the $18,000 mail order for the checks or the $6,000 order for the postcards. That would be the easiest thing to cut.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to stick with the mail because the mail, this whole screen right here is all my deals and the lead sources. The mail is where the money comes from.
Yeah.
So when you're going broke or having a hard time, like you got to stick with the marketing because that's, Aaron, you know this. You're national. Like you guys got to keep doing what's driving the leads to get your
That's
acquisition
true.
guys on the phone, no matter what, at what cost, right? Like I would sacrifice a lot of stuff before I sacrifice my marketing costs, but my
Hmm.
marketing costs are 80% of my costs probably over everything. So
Yep.
that would be my biggest piece of advice for anybody. So figure out a true marketing budget you can project for 6 months. Say, hey, even if it's a small budget, you're going to cold call, like, hey, I'm going to spend $1,000 a month on data and phone services, and I can afford that for 6 months. You better stick to that over that 6 months because for me in home investors in '09, when I owed the IRS $250,000, um, I think we were at like $52,000 before we got our first $7,000 assignment in cost, right? Like between the franchise and the ad spend and all that. You just got to stick to that marketing because you don't have anything without leads. And I'm sure that's what you talk
Absolutely.
about all the time.
No, that's incredible advice, and even reigns true and hits hard. Even reminder for myself to always. You're right. I'll look at my. We have like a spreadsheet of like all of our costs and subscriptions and stuff like that. And yeah, the most expensive one is always marketing. It's about 80 to 90% of it, and everything else is small, right? And you're right, and especially so this business is about marketing. Matter of fact, I like to pick your brain a little bit. We're going to be going into direct mail heavy coming up next year, and it's funny. I've always done direct mail, and it's always been a great return. And then I cut it, and I'm an idiot, right? So anyway, so coming into this next year, because what we've done is we've gone into several different marketing channels, but one is like we've never stayed consistent on is direct mail, and it's always been a great return. But I'm now that I've built the team, I'm able to stick my whole claws into this direct mail, and I'm watching it like a hawk right now. So we're sending a little bit at a time every single week, and I told my team, what's that?
Nationally?
No, just Southern
Oh,
California. Southern California. So yeah, and like I said, we're Southern California and then PPC nationally based. And again, when I talk about national, I'm talking about certain statewide, not the entire nation. So direct mail, I'm sticking my whole claws in it. I'm sending a little bit at a time. And one thing that I'm telling myself this year is we're sending out every single week here in Southern California, because again, those deals are bangers, especially in Southern California when we do get deals. And I'm telling my team, even if I have to send only 50,000 pieces of mail, it's going out every single week on the money. It's still going out now. We do have to send a lot out here in Southern California. I do have a mail company that I do work with that I had a deal with back when Wholesale and Ink was first came up. And so I would actually like to hear you. I mean, what is your strategy with direct mail? What is some of the returns that you're seeing? How much is your mail piece? And I mean, let's break it down. Let's shoot the crap, and I'll tell you kind of what I believe how it works, how much my piece of mail is, how much I'm going to send out to get a deal here in Southern California.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I don't have it figured out. We're adjusting constantly.
Of course.
I mean, when I say constantly, I have 3 mail houses that I bounce around through. They all
Really?
One of them is a good friend of mine, and I move based on cost, quality, deliverability, and I'll just say this: I'm an emotional basket case. Like, like you have one bad mail drop, like I'll move. I'm not loyal. No, I'm not. At the end of the day,
I'm the same
loyal.
way.
Yeah, I'm not really loyal to one mail house when there's other people that do exactly. And it's gone this far, and this is where I'm at now. Our Q1 of next year, we're not using a mail house. We're using a print house and then personally delivering it to the post office.
Wow.
Because
okay.
here's what I know. I see myself on everything. And I know that we haven't received pieces of mail that I sent out 4 months ago. Now think about this. One of my mail houses comes out of Southern California. you know exactly what I'm talking about. Think about the logistics of that postcard going from his mail house to get to Waco, Texas. Think of how many trains, UPS or mail trucks, how many sorting machines. I don't know how mail works, but there's a ton of logistics to get that postcard from Southern California to my house in Waco. Now, I'm not saying this has happened, but when I'm not getting seed pieces from multiple mail houses, I don't think it's them. I think it's the USPS.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to eliminate that. I'm in downtown Waco. The big post office is right here. We're going to print them and take them right over here. So they're going from
Interesting.
3 blocks over here to 12 blocks over there
Hmm.
to eliminate what I believe is happening in the shuffle of mail. I mean, mail is being transported by trains and then sorted by machines.
Okay.
So when when we're spending, you know, $250,000 a year on mail, and I want to make sure that all that mail is getting delivered. Um,
Yeah.
so pieces, I rotate basically. We're data driven, so we have our houses we want to hit. We rotate one letter, two postcards, one letter, two postcards over a
Hmm.
6 week cycle. So we were hitting every month. We realized that just wasn't working. Our cost per contract was going up, so we've moved to every 6 weeks. There's not a lot of houses here. I'm in a small market, so
Right.
there's not a lot of houses. So what was happening with we were just saturating the market so much hitting every month. Postcards are full color. There's all kinds of different postcards we use for you guys that are listening.
Okay.
You can't see this, but we go between, as you can see behind me, everywhere in here, we're heavily branded.
Very
We
brand
go,
heavy. Yeah.
yeah, we go from branded and then we do non-branded. Sorry, I got a whole stack of them. We also do non-branded, just yellow
Okay.
postcards. What's crazy is that the best postcard this year for us was a hot pink postcard.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
completely unbranded. Sorry, completely unbranded. And then we've also in Q3 and Q4 have gone to the check letters. Um, the check letters are basically an offer on a check,
Yep.
and we're having crazy success with that. It basically cut our cost per. We look at cost per appointment. I know everybody has a different metric, so what I look at is cost per appointment because I believe there's cost per contract is too vague, and I
Mm.
get a lot of contracts from houses I met with 3 to 6 months ago. So when we're analyzing the ROI on our marketing channels, we look at cost per appointment, and our cost per appointment is like 50% on the the offered check offers.
Okay.
Um, our response rate is like 3x on the check offers, but a lot of people are confused. A lot of people are upset. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So so we try to dial it back. It's like, what's the one metric we can look at? And it was the cost per appointment. Because I buy in person. You know, I'm not virtual. I buy in person.
For
Um,
sure.
belly to belly, relationship based buying is my business.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to know what it costs me to get into a house to meet with a quote unquote motivated seller. Um,
So you like the checks, man. I tried that earlier this year, and I did not like the return at all. For us, it didn't work out. It was too costly for us. And like you said, with again, that's just my experience. They
yeah.
yeah, you're right. There was a lot of confusion. You're arguing more about the price that was on the postcard. I felt
And,
like the
and that price
ARV
wasn't
was.
even the price.
What's that?
And that price wasn't even that's what Paige, my lead manager, is like. It's crazy. They're mad about the offer, and her offer is if the house is perfect, and we know the house isn't perfect, right? Like
Hmm.
our number is going to actually be lower than that, and they're already arguing with us.
Well, that's actually right there. You hit on the head, right? I always said that when you give an offer, and this is male aside, when you give an offer, you start low because the only way you could go is up. You can't go down. So that was my light bulb, and I was like, wait a minute. If I give these offers in the mail, yeah, I might get a good response, but they're going to be upset because I can't go down. Yes, you can. Don't get me wrong. You can still get deals and stuff like that. But now they're already set at this number. But you said, and now you've already lost credibility, and that's kind of what we saw on our side because I was more going back and forth about these checks. So what we do is we send nice, ugly postcards that have nothing on it. Just says, this is name. Would you we want to buy your house for a no hassle fee. Call this big number. It's just a black and white postcard. It's pretty large, and we're about 49 cents per piece right now. So we want to do volume, try to get get in front of as much people as possible rather than do like fancy postcards. Now, obviously, we're going to be talking about doing lots and lots and lots of postcards just to get the calls in. What are you guys at per? And again, mine's ugly. So when you put some other stuff on there, the cost might go up. What are you guys at cost wise? I mean,
depending on the mail house, in the high 40s to the mid 50s on the postcards, but it depends on, I know a lot of people are listening out looking, but on this postcard, so we're data driven. We have all these pain points for these properties, so it's variable data. So every postcard is unique because if they're delinquent on their taxes, or if they've had water shut off, or if they're absentee owners, the postcard it speaks directly to what we believe their pain is for that seller. So
gotcha.
these are really, every card is unique, not just the name and the address, but the actual card and the design of the card is unique.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. I'm interested in what you're saying, this black and white, unbranded, ugly, big, because like I said, that stupid pink card got the most calls. And I told my team, I said, it got the most calls because it's ugly, it stands out. Like when they're sifting through, I've branded so much in Waco, they know when they see this blue to throw it in the trash because they've already been tricked by me, right? They've already read the post a couple times.
Right.
So the pink one worked, and I told my team, I'm like, it's because it's unbranded and it was ugly. It just stuck out, so they actually read it.
I got that. Yeah, I got that advice from my first coach, Tom Kroll. Again, when I was super new 4 years ago, and yeah, that's what he kept saying. If they're gonna call you from like an ugly postcard, that obviously they're motivated, right? Unless they're gonna call you cursing you out, but if they call it, they they're motivated. And what I like about the postcard is like I like the larger because you got the postcards that are a little bit more smaller that could get lost in the mail. I like the large, a little more harder. Feel for it because that's gonna pull out. It's large, and again, it's just black and white, big old number. Call or text me, so if we get a text, and so that's pretty cool. It's always been our number one winner, and then every time I try something different, it just never got the same return I wanted.
My team would tell you, and my fiance, I'm definitely bipolar when it comes to the marketing stuff. I mean, I'm very up and down, and so. Even back to that advice that you asked me, I give. I don't even stick to it because I'm so emotional and everything. It just is what it is. Like I know my faults, but I also I enjoy marketing. So I like looking at the data. I like trying things. It's part of what brings me joy in the space.
Exactly.
The marketing sides of it. I've lost the love of sales and acquisitions completely. But I still enjoy the marketing side.
Does your fiance hold you accountable? Is she kind of your integrator?
No, I have a COO that's my integrator.
Okay.
Yeah, Jody is amazing. She handles all the technical side. Like I couldn't put these reports together without her. I'm not organized enough, and I don't have the mindset for it, right? For organizing data. I love to look at data and analyze data, but I'm not going to gather data and present data.
Yeah.
So I have an amazing COO. She's on the back end. She's an introvert. She handles all the technology, all the data, and all the accounting for us. And that's her. And she runs all the team meetings and keeps all the KPIs and all that stuff for us.
Very cool.
I just analyze it and make irrational, emotional decisions. I try not to. It just is the fact of the matter.
Well, I'm the same way. So we spend at this moment, my marketing goes up and down based on the size of my team at this moment. So we spend around 10 to 12 grand per person with PPC. So we're spending about 35 grand PPC a month right now. That's just PPC. And again, if I got 4 people, then that goes up another 10, 12 grand. And matter of fact, one guy just quit. So we're hired another guy. He's coming in on Monday. So we're excited to have them. Anyways, the reason why I say that is if I'm emotional too. So I would tell my wife I would spend way more if I could right now. But my wife's like, hey, no, let's slow down. Let's watch this. Let's see what this goes on. I say, so anyways,
How does
most of the
that
time.
work for you guys? I'm curious, and you're interviewing me, but I'm curious with the dichotomy of working with your wife. Um, I work with Daniela, my fiance. She's my agent and is pretty hands off on my business. I can't imagine um, how is that where you're the work life balance, like does that exist? Like we have trouble with that just as her being my agent, much less if she was fully integrated into my business. Is it 24 hours
Right.
a day?
No, it's a great question. We get that question often. I freaking love it. I love my wife. We're always shooting the shit. We're always talking about business. Right. We on the way here. I mean, we're talking shop. Um, one thing I always so we watch sometimes stupid we just watched this stupid show on Netflix called The Ultimatum,
Okay.
and yeah, it was so stupid, but it's like entertaining, and then we just and we talk about it, and we talk and they talk about obviously when somebody's a husband and wife, they go to work, both of them have their own jobs, and they see each other at night, and I always am so thankful to the Lord God, and just so thankful for my life where I get to spend my entire day with my wife, and we get to really live this life together, and we have goals together. We have so much trust, and we collaborate together all the time, because I tell my wife, we have two kids, we have two beautiful kids, and those kids, and I tell my wife all the time, those two kids are going to leave the house one day, right? And it's going to be you and I. And so our relationship can't be based on our kids. Our relationship is based
Yeah.
on who we are. And so that's why I love that. I love chilling and hanging out and shooting the shit with my wife, and doing business and talking shop together. And we have all the same goals. And, I mean, we definitely have a lot of similarities, because we're like the same age. I think we're like a year apart. So we're definitely same age. So we have a lot of the background, old music, old stuff that we could always talk about in the back, but and we're definitely different in some aspects. Like she would be my integrator. I'm definitely the visionary, but damn it, she is so supportive. Uh, well, and I say that because, this is where I see, and again, this is just you and I talking shop. This is where I see people, husband and wife, fail. I don't know if how religious you are, but I am a Christian, and I do see, obviously the man is the head of the household, right? We are the providers, and I'm not saying my wife's submissive or anything like that, because I love her like Christ loved the church, but she, like if I wanted to go this direction, she's come with me, right? If I make a call in the business, she's going with me, right? I'll be honest, we are partners, but this is kind of hard to say, but I kind of have the end result, and she's going to be fully supportive. I'm the one who I am the one who started this, and she was just the one who really supported me. And I remember the day she said, "Hey, where can I help out in the business?" And she jumped in head first and just crushed it. But she's incredible, and I take her advice, and we definitely we try to have level 10s every week too, where we talk about finances and where the
Yeah.
company's going and stuff like that. Anyways, how about yourself?
Well, I mean, I asked that question because we work together. She's my agent, so that's the one thing. The work life balance is a struggle for us. I mean, not a struggle, but it's like
Oh, like spending time together.
no. I mean, we're like you. We're around each other 24 hours a day. We me and my partner own the brokerage that she works for. My business partner is
Oh
her
wow.
boss. She's in the building, she's very, very involved. Our business is her lead source too. Like she gets a ton
Mm,
of listings from us, right? And because we own the brokerage, we can monetize that and offset our marketing costs. So it's a win-win for sure. Um, but it's crazy. It'll be like 8:45 at night. I'm an old man and try to get in bed by 9:30. I'm like, man, we haven't talked about anything about work since 7 a.m. You know what I mean? Like literally. Um, so it's fine right now. We're young and hungry, but I question the longevity of our relationship if everything is work. And it hasn't always been this way. She just got into business when we moved to Waco. That was my whole value proposition. It's like, hey, I'm going to make you leave your family in this big, amazing city. We're going to go to a town of 125 people where we have a few friends, and you're going to quit your career and work with me. So that the whole value proposition is like, hey, you'll become an agent. Shane owns a brokerage. I can feed you leads. You'll make more money. You're going to have fun. You're not going to have this stupid corporate American job where you're like not happy. but now it's turned into where work is. We're always working, right? Even like we'll be out of town next week camping, backpacking. And I
Oh,
promise we'll talk
nice.
about work. Yes, can't wait to be out of town.
Yeah, I mean, where would you want to be? Like, what kind of dynamic of a relationship would you want to see?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'm just again, this is just masterminding, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
for me, I honestly wish that there was a way that at night we just didn't talk about work,
okay,
but it's just not. It's literally just not possible, right? Like
right.
we try, but then she's an agent, so most of her activity happens at night, right? Like the
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. What I like to do is, for at least this is what I do. So I like to try to put my phone on sleep mode after when we're
yeah,
at home, right? And I put it in the other room, and I literally do that. I've been doing this now probably for like 2 months now, and it's been fantastic because I don't want to hear. I don't want to. My wife still looks at our Slack channel every once in a while. She'll tell me whatever somebody's saying, but at least I'm off. And like I said, we'll watch stupid shows together, and that kind of helps us talk about other stuff,
yeah.
and because we're always pausing it, and then we'll talk about what's going on in the show, and so that kind of helps out a lot when we talk about other stuff. And obviously with the kids, we're trying to talk about things with the kids, and
Yeah.
so.
Well,
But no,
that's another thing.
we
We
still
don't have
talk.
kids,
Oh, no
so
kids
you guys have that whole, all of our friends have young kids right now, and that's a whole nother thing with,
for
uh,
sure.
yeah, a whole nother full time job.
It sure is.
So,
No, I mean we still talk about work so much. Yeah, we talk about work a lot. I think that's where it comes down to. It's like also, I mean, we do enjoy it. It's like because people used to say, um, get a hobby, right? I don't really have any hobbies. Let's just be honest. I don't have any hobbies. My hobby is this. I see this. It's kind of like I love Alex Tramosi, right? Alex Tramosi talks about this. The game
yep,
building a business is a freaking game. It is your hobby.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
find, and I don't care what anybody says. This is my hobby. I'm having a good time doing it. I'm building blocks. I'm building
yeah.
things. I'm maneuvering things, and I'm figuring out what works, what doesn't work. And to me, I think it's a freaking cool hobby. So
And it's
yeah,
better than I don't want to sound too general, but most people don't like work, right? Like because they don't like their job, they don't like the
right.
environment. It's different when you're an entrepreneur, and I imagine most people listening to this are living this life or aspire to live this life. It's different when some people think it's crazy because I work a lot. Like my best friend's a cardiologist. He makes crazy money, but he works a lot. But when he's off, he's
Hmm.
off. So he's like, man, you're always stuck on your phone. I'm like, dude, I have so much. I have a bunch of flips going on. I got a bunch of rentals. Like there's always something broken or
Right.
not going on. But when you're building something for yourself, it doesn't. I'm building a future. Like I've been self-employed pretty much my whole life, or commission based.
Yeah.
So these rentals and owner finance deals are my retirement. I'm working towards a goal, and when I hit that goal, I can throw this phone in the trash.
Right.
Will I? I won't, right? Because we're achievers, and I enjoy the challenge. But it's different when you're building something for yourself rather than working for somebody and building something for somebody else.
Do you have an executive assistant?
No.
Because that'd be a good little filter for you.
Yeah, no, I don't have an assistant. So Paige is again, I run a very small team. Paige is my lead manager, but we have a VA that is kind of the first contact for the leads that come in. Paige actually works for the leads that have been pre-qualified. So she does help me with, personal stuff. She managed my schedule 100%.
Mm.
Um, I booked this with you on my own. She's like, what is this? Like,
I'm gonna talk crap with my boy Aaron.
yeah. Well, it's just, she managed my schedule. So she's like, how are you going to manage this? That's what I told you. I hauled ass over here. I didn't eat lunch. I just came from closing 2 houses. And
Nice.
that's what happens when I manage my own schedule. I screw everything up.
Well, you know what's funny though, man? It's leverage. I would start thinking about like delegating. And I know you're really good at this, but delegating. You said earlier in the podcast, like, hey, you have a team. Like, I wouldn't say I have a large team right now. I have 6 people on the sales floor and like 2 VAs, right? It's not a crazy big team. I do aspire to have a bigger team. So I do want 5. I want 5 dispo reps and 5 acquisition reps by the beginning of first quarter next year. So we're always recruiting. We're always looking for hired
Local,
great
right?
people.
Like in office.
Local in office,
Yeah.
correct.
That's
So
important.
yeah, very important, right? But here's the thing. Because of the systems I put in place, and because of the way I learned how to manage people, and the way that we do the books that I've read this year about leadership, right? A CEO shouldn't be in the nitty gritty. But I shouldn't be micromanaging, right? When I first started, I was kind of micromanaging because obviously I'm finally taking my hands off everything. But one thing I learned about in the book Multipliers, and you might hear me say this on the podcast quite often, but is you need to be a multiplier. You need to extract the genius out of every single person in your team, right? And so every time somebody comes with me with a question, I always ask, and actually it's something I learned here. Some stuff I hear, like the rescuer, that's what it was. So I asked for a solution. I say, hey, well, give me so what do you think we should do, right? You lean on their genius. You don't want to look at them like they don't know what they're doing, because if you hire right, you're hiring really smart people. Like I have some smart freaking people now. I went through my bad hires. I don't do that shit anymore. And I'm very careful on who I hire, and we could talk about how I hire later. But man, I hire some smart ass people, man, and so now I lean on them. And you've heard the like the 1-3-1, right? Where like you
No.
so somebody brings you a problem, you say, and I didn't even have to do I didn't even have to say this. I've just heard this concept. Usually I tell them to bring me a solution, and then as a CEO, I pretty much just go say, do that one. So what I like to do is I say, if they bring me up a problem, I say, give me 3 solutions. They give me 3 solutions. And then obviously you'll as a CEO, you'll pick one, or you'll pick they'll pick one of the solutions. And then most of the time you go do that. Right. Because at the same time, if you're constantly in their business, they'll never grow. Right.
You're not learning, right? If you're solving all the problems.
Exactly. And I heard this from a mentor earlier too, is that like my way works, but it's not the only way, and it might not even be the best way. Yes, I know how to drive results, but I'm going to lean on my team to also be resourceful. Actually, one of our core values is resourcefulness. And so I want my team to learn how to be resourceful. And so they're going to go find all the solvable answers as well. So that's been a huge deal. I have like one chick, I have one person on our team, and she crushes it. But I think she stopped coming to me because I kept asking her. I say, well, give me a solution, right? What do you think we should do? So I help, and I already know what I would tell them and how I would solve that problem. I already know, right? But I want them to think about it, and then you go, okay, we'll do that. And then it's been amazing by creating such.
To keep your door open, because they're not coming to it all the time, right? Like if they know you trust them,
Mm-hmm.
that's a great solution. They don't have to come to you and ask you everything too. You're empowering them, and you're creating loyalty there.
110%. Our turnover is like little to none now. Like I said, we had a guy just quit recently, but it was for like health issues, and then he left on good terms. But yeah, I remember when I first started, it was high turnover because my big goal now, and you'll hear me say this often, is when you got a bunch of candidates and you're like, well, maybe we'll try him, or let's give him a shot. I don't hire those guys anymore. Right. I don't hire maybes. I need to be like sold on this person to bring them on. But that being said, you need a lot of candidates. You need a lot of leads, right? Yeah. So yes. Indeed does some pretty cool crap, right? You could put a budget on and you get a crap ton of leads. And in those leads, I have my admin filter them out, because I was a lot of people do like no show. So I'm an admin filter them out. I look at the recordings if I even think they're great. So it'll take me like 30 seconds to be like, I want to talk to that guy or not. Right. Most of the time it's a no. That guy dressed like crap. That guy didn't know how to answer this question. This guy answered the question bad. So I don't even need to watch the entire thing. She has 4 questions, and I want to see, how do you present yourself? How did you answer the question? Did you show up on time? Did you show up at all? Right. So that tells a lot.
Online or in person?
Yeah, so that would be pre-screen. So they'll pre-screen. So they'll come in. My admin reaches back out, books a slot, and then she'll do a Zoom call that's recorded. At the end of the day, I get to look at all the recordings, which literally takes me 5 minutes. It doesn't even take me that long. And then I say, all right, I want to out of the 15 pre-screens, I probably want to talk to one or two, and then they'll set up for a second interview. That second interview, I'll talk to them on a Zoom call for like 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I'll fill them out even more, right? That's where obviously my time is valuable, and I get to deep dive into them. And if I like them from there, they'll come into my office and we do a shadow day. They'll do a screen test. They'll see if we'll do they basically, do you want to be a part of this culture? Is this a place you want to work? Right. They'll shadow my team. My team now obviously gets to interview them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
important.
so they get to kind of like, is this guy,
Yeah.
asking questions? Is he paying attention? He'll sit on our morning high puddle, right? They'll sit on morning high puddle, see if there's something that they want to be a part of. After that, we'll go into the conference room and then we'll do a role play, right? We'll ask a bunch of more questions. Is this something you want to be? How, are you gonna be the hardest worker, et cetera? Then we'll do a role play. We do about 2 to 3 role plays, right? Are you able to take the feedback am I giving you, right? How are you able to handle certain objections, right? And people got up all the way to the role play, and I see the red flags, and I don't move forward with them. We actually found somebody today. Somebody came in for a shadow day today, and actually, we really like him, and we're going to hire him. So we shot him an offer. So after that, then we shoot him an offer. And I've gotten people all the way to the shadow day, and it wasn't a good fit for them, right? They're like, I don't really want to do this. And I'm like, perfect. I'll stop it. Like, hey, I don't think I'll tell. And I'm very blunt, and that's another thing about what we talked about earlier in the business is you got to be able to have hard conversations. And I'll say, hey, I'll tell them, I don't think this is a place for you. Am I right? They'll say yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
Shake their hands. They're out the door. Right.
You say both y'all sell both parties a lot of times.
Exactly. So
and
we
a
do.
lot of people don't want to be like the phone culture is a different thing. Once they get around it, they realize that's not for them.
Exactly.
When I found Paige, like those are main things. She's like, I love talking to people, and that's her biggest skill set. I call her a chameleon, man. She can build rapport and build a relationship like nobody I've ever seen. Every appointment I go to, they're like, Paige is amazing. Paige is
that's awesome.
so.
Now,
like you, I had to go through dozens of people to find her.
There you go.
And lots of no shows. Insane.
Lots of no shows, right? And that, like obviously we shouldn't be sitting around for the no shows, right? You want to delegate that out. I don't got time to try to filter these people out. So, but after implementing that process, and when I find that person I like, I hire them fast because obviously they have other offers, and I want them to have other offers, right? Because that means I have somebody good on my hands. So, anyways, it's saved us. It saved us a lot of money, and we built actually a great team. Now this is probably the strongest team we've ever had. And dude, yeah, super excited to build that team. And it's also because like Max Maxwell said, right? Like that lid. So when I really started reading books and really started focusing on my leadership, I was able to hire more quality people than I was a year ago. So when
favorite leadership book?
Multipliers. So yeah,
I haven't read it. Extreme Ownership obviously is mine, or not obviously, but it's mine. Multipliers, I'll check it out.
Yeah, great. Yeah, Extreme Ownership is probably my second. I would say the second to that. Then obviously John Maxwell has some pretty good leadership books. I read some good business books. You ever read The Leaky Buckets?
Mm-mm.
Dude, that's an incredible book too. So that one's. I just got done reading Traction again because when I read, I don't know if you saw my video recently, but I read Traction when I first started, and obviously you just like, like what? It doesn't make any sense to you when you don't have a team, right? You build a team, Traction makes more sense. Like I just put this thing. I put a bunch of stuff together, but one of my favorite things I implemented from Traction, and there's a lot of them, but is the People Analyzer. I freaking love it. I put a spreadsheet together and I put core values at the top, and I analyze each person every single month. Does this person, present this core value? Yes, sometimes, or no, right? And then obviously most of them are all green. But the guy who just left, he had about 4 sometimes, right? He was kind of in the middle on some of those core values, so it was perfect. It was, and if there are any, and I even went back and I thought about all the people I had to let go, all my bad past employees. They would have been red. They didn't implement the core values that we have. So you gotta have damn core values. Ooh, another book, Teamwork by Natalie Dawson. I couldn't put that book down, dude. It's a short read, but it has so much meat. You know the books all out there that have fluff? Well, yes. Teamwork, incredible book.
Natalie Dawson?
Yeah.
Traction is probably one of the hardest books I've ever read. Like it's a textbook, you know what I mean? And for a visionary type, it's brutal. Like I like to read books, like physical books, but traction I had to listen to. I just couldn't read. Like I couldn't. Like you said, you couldn't put that book down. I couldn't pick it up. Like
Well, I couldn't do that either until I actually had people to manage, right? And then
yeah,
this stuff has now saved me so much. So, for example, we're really implementing like HR and shit like that too now because, you get in some sticky situations when you start getting it with employees, right? So I make sure everything's documented. We do two what is it called? Performance reviews a month.
uh,
Two,
a
right?
month.
Yeah, we do two a month, and it's basically like 15 days. So like in the middle of the month, we do like because we're doing sales. They're salespeople, right? So we want to talk to you. Hey, how's everything going? How's your numbers looking? What kind of revenue are we bringing in? What are some end zone opportunities? Right? It's just it's almost like a coaching, like 101, right? But we make sure it's written down, right? We want to make sure your numbers are written down. And I ask questions. Are you taking your damn lunch breaks, right? Are you okay with the equipment, right? Anything that you can come back with some stupid ass lawsuit. Anyways, now we have all that shit written down, right? And we can catch things early. If we have people that are unhappy, I'm going to catch that shit early. I'm going to have harder conversations early. And at the end of the month, we talk about that because it's sales, right? So you got to look at numbers consistently. So if I see you going down already, well, let's talk about that so we get you back on track early and not wait for a quarterly review. Like how crappy is that, right? So that's what I'm saying. We don't. Well, we don't. Well, so to talk about that. Like, so we don't do. So you don't micromanage, but we obviously are having one-on-one coaching calls, right? Start coaching stuff. So you do your shit, but guess what? We'll talk about it in the numbers, right? Where we're going wrong, and where do we need to come back? Now that's just running a sales floor. I soon hope to hire we're obviously trying to build up a sales manager to have those, right? So obviously our team is still small enough where I'm able to do that, do those things. But there going to be a time when I need a sales manager to really manage the sales floor.
That's awesome. Good for you. I do not have any ambition. Before I know we're running out of time, but before
no, you're good.
My marketing for small cap companies, I was running a sales team of 20 people, and I was the sales manager. When I talked about it earlier, the emotional and personal baggage that comes involved. When I have a relationship with my staff, like I know everything that's going on.
For sure,
we have a culture here. We're family. Managing 28 people on commission in a high pressure environment, man, insanity. I don't aspire to do that again. Now, whether it's right or wrong, I got burned out. I did that for a long time. Salespeople, I'm a salesperson. Salespeople are highly emotional people. Like we're
right.
bipolar in our emotions. So good for you, but get the sales manager for sure. Take yourself out.
Delegating. That's all I'm trying to do, man. I'm just trying to delegate, because obviously we have a turnover, but that's why I'm really excited about going into the next year because we put all the levers now that are in place. Now I just need to turn on the lever, turn off the lever, turn a dial up. Hey, marketing's in place? Okay. Do I just need to turn it up? Do I need to turn it down? Right. So when you got the levers and the dials in place, it's really easy to then start scaling, right?
Yeah.
But you got to go through the crap to go through all that, and you got to go through you got to go get your teeth kicked in, not just from sellers, but you got to get your teeth kicked in by, deals. You got to get your teeth kicked in by buyers, sellers, employees, outside forces, right? Things happen. That's it's a whole roller coaster, but at the same time, it's super rewarding. That's why me and you are crazy enough to do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
I've talked way too much during this podcast.
I love it.
I'm just enjoying talking shop. But usually when I have a guest, I'm trying to just keep it about them. And but again, I appreciate you again coming on here, sharing your journey. Again, reach out to Simpson if you're ever in the Texas area. He knows all that well, and you're also a leader in the elite circle. Inner Circle Elite by Don Cass, a fantastic mastermind. Matter of fact, once we hit off, I want to talk to you more about that. But a great mastermind. If you're doing deals, you want to be around a bunch of high level entrepreneurs, real estate entrepreneurs, hit up Stinson or hit up Don Costa to join that
And if you
join that
got deals
mastermind.
in Central Texas, wholesalers call me. I'm a buyer, like a true
There you
buyer.
go.
That's where the meat is for me. I'm looking for houses in Central Texas. So my business model, owner financing, allows me to pay a lot more than that line. So
Awesome. Hey, well, we'll see you next time here at the Real Estate Block Podcast.
awesome. Thanks, Aaron.